All right, well, good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming today. It's exciting to be here at FIU and to see everyone. I'd like to thank the folks at the VIG. I'd like to thank particularly Barbara and Nikki. Thank you so much for having me. Today, we're going to talk about LinkedIn optimization for veteran and spouse-owned businesses. So we're going to cover a lot of material today. If you do have a question, go ahead and either raise your hand or pass your question to Barbara, and she can go ahead and moderate the questions. So thank you. First of all, a little bit about myself. My name is Scott Singer. I am the president of Insider Career Strategies. That's a fancy way of saying that I'm a resume writer and I'm a career coach. I do career advisory. I also do placement, but I also do LinkedIn profile work as well. That's pretty core to what people's professional brands are these days. So, that's a part of the business. And I've been partnering with FIU for about close to a year and a half on this. Done several presentations on LinkedIn. Really always enjoy being here. As far as my credentials, I went to Boston University, got a bachelor's degree, my MBA from the University of Michigan in Dearborn. And before I did this, I've been doing this full time for about 10 years, but before this, I was a recruiter. I did it for some Fortune 500 companies. So Motorola, Louis Vuitton, Hennessy, Bacardi, and Ryder. So let's dive in. We are in the age of LinkedIn. Let me see a show of hands here. Who's got a LinkedIn profile? Everybody's hands up. That's good. So I'm sure you know this, but it is the business-focused social media platform these days. Everybody's on there. Last figure I heard the other day on a presentation actually given by Microsoft and LinkedIn was over 1 million. Sorry, not 1 million. I don't know, having a brain moment here. They are owned by Microsoft. Yes, they did say that there was over 1 billion people that had a LinkedIn profile. Wow. So, even if you think about the fact that, yes, there's some redundant accounts, so even with 1 billion accounts in 200 countries, even if, every 10th one is a fake or it's a duplicate, somebody forgot about, that's still 900 million people. So, I mean, can we all agree that's a lot of people? So, 26 languages, and there are profiles on there for both companies and individuals. I'm gonna raise, I don't want to put anybody on the spot here, but I'm sure that everybody here, if you have a business, you have a spot for your business, your own corporate page. So, if you're a veteran, if you're a family member of a veteran, you and your businesses do face some unique circumstances. And I don't want to say challenges, it's really more circumstances. It's really about a little bit of a different way of having operated and gotten to this point. So, the truth of the matter is your focus throughout your career until you went into the private sector has been on service. That has been your priority. Service to your country, service to the people around you, service to keeping the world safe. That's what you have done. And, folks that are in the military, they've worked in both highly structured situations, the military, very command and control. You've got very clear lines of reporting and there's a lot of structure there, but also unstructured settings. You'll have organizations that are within there that need to be a little bit autonomous and have to operate in their own ways. And sometimes they have a lot more ambiguity. I don't profess to have been in the military. I don't understand it as deeply as some of you who have been in the military, but I do know from folks that I've talked to who have been in special forces, sometimes there's no structure. You've got an outline of a mission, you've got to go in and figure it out. So sometimes the folks that are in the military have to negotiate both the structured and the unstructured. Also, I'm sure a lot of you have had this, frequent relocations. You're, 1 month you're in Oakland, the next one you're in the South Pacific, the next one you're on the East Coast, working out of Philadelphia. So yeah, and, your network is changing, your geography is changing, your settings are changing. And of course, this is important, and a lot of people don't think about this, but your languages, your experiences, your skills, they need to be translated to the private sector. Military speak is not the way that most people talk. There is a specific language that folks in the military use. It's the same as, having been in this particular company for a long period of time. I used to work at Motorola, and I remember one day I came home and I was talking to my wife about a bunch of stuff. She's like, "What did you just say? I didn't understand any of that." And in the military, it's much more diluted, much more distilled because you're in the military 365, 7 days a week. So it's something that, it comes with its own circumstances there. But there are other positives, right? So, you also, as an ex-military, have potential in to special work and business opportunities. Often, the government will make available, this is a special opportunity for a veteran. Sometimes companies will recruit people specifically with military backgrounds. They'll have those specific folks that are there, but also a lot of it, quite frankly, is coming, if you work in the Marines, you meet someone else in the Marines, the one thing you've got in common with them is Semper Fi. I mean, honestly, you've got a lot of that network and you understand each other. So there are some special wins and some special opportunities that come along with that. And as a result, you've got additional credibility in certain circles, certain industries. The security industry, for example, is huge in terms of hiring folks and working with folks that have military experience because there are so many different commonalities. And then, of course, this is one thing that can be a benefit too, which is if you were in the military long enough, you've got a pension. You've got your military pension, you might have had that relocation bonus that got you settled after your active term. And that means that you've got some additional security, right? You don't have to worry about that next meal that you're going to have. You can focus your time, your effort, and your extra cash on building your business. Any questions so far on this?
So far, so good.
Okay. All right. So LinkedIn, this is where we make the transition to more of the business side of things. If you have a business need, LinkedIn can definitely help you with this. First of all, if you're looking to hire people, you're looking to find talent or consult with you, billion people, there's got to be at least one person on there that can help you out. Also, it's great for building your brand reputation. You've got an audience of professional people on a professional platform. Take advantage of it. You can build your reputation. You can reach people that have an interest in hearing what you have to say. Lead generation, sales, and conversion. So one, I'm sure you've all received pitches from LinkedIn if you've got a business account trying to sell you on a premium account. If you are using it to try to build business, actually there's a lot of value that you get from that. So we'll get into some more detail about that. You can absolutely use LinkedIn profitably to make some business from a lead generation standpoint. And I remember I used to be, when I was a recruiter, we would pay, and again, this is going back quite a while, 10 years ago, but we were paying $15,000 a seat to be able to see everybody in the system. I'm sure those prices have just gone up since then. So the prices are there, but I mean, we're talking about getting the ROI. We want to see all those folks that are out there. It definitely can pay off. It's great for researching companies, employees, or individuals. You want a clear idea of who to talk to at a company. You're selling a product or service. You're selling security. You want to find out who's in charge of facilities at, say, I don't know, Florida International University. My guess is they've got a profile on LinkedIn. And then publicizing. Got some good news about your company. Came up with the newest way and most exciting way to slice bread. It's a great platform. You can reach people. You can publicize what's going on. You can talk about the wins of your people, not just your business, but maybe there's people on your team. Somebody got their Lean Six Sigma black belt. They got their PMP certification, or somebody is working in research and just finished their PhD. Celebrate. You can do this on there. Also, catching up on what's going on. You're celebrating, so are other people. They're putting their news on there. So see what's going on. That can also be a great opportunity, and maybe you can think, maybe there's some way that I can partner. And then, of course, this is the most obvious. You look at name, LinkedIn, link. It's a direct connection. LinkedIn is all about making those direct connections. Okay, this is important. When you use LinkedIn, you don't own the playing field. What do I mean by that? Microsoft owns LinkedIn. It is their tool, right? This is not your CRM. This is not your software. You are using LinkedIn's software, which means that it's not unusual for them to change the way the game is played, right? They can change their features, their functionality, their algorithms, and they really actually don't even need to give you any notice. In terms of service, they can do what they want with it. The power that you have is you can renew or cancel your subscription, honestly. So, one of the things that's interesting is many years ago, LinkedIn had rolled out where people can put on requests where you want to go ahead and I want to hire a resume writer. And I use that, and I would see people on there. Well, one day they changed the algorithm, all of a sudden it wasn't there anymore. Then the next day it was back, and they changed it, and then it was a new screen. And now, it used to be that, I would get leads of people that were within a few miles of me. Now I'm getting people from Pocatello, Idaho, and everywhere else. There's, they can change it however they want. So, LinkedIn is great, but unless you really use it mindfully and you're strategic about how you use it, just keep in mind that they can change the rules. So, and again, this is one of the important points too, which is you don't own the data. You have access while you're paying for it. And, that's the paywall. That's the value that you're getting. So, if you've got a CRM database, use it alongside LinkedIn, not, instead, don't use LinkedIn instead of. And then like it or not, you're bound by their terms of service and the consequences. You have data in your CRM, you can contact people any way you like. You can annoy the living daylights out of them, you can reach out to them strategically, you can send them email campaigns, opt in, opt out, whatever. LinkedIn, if you don't play by their terms of service, if you bug people, you're gonna find your account locked down pretty quickly. So just be aware. Again, they're the referee. You know the soccer analogy where a ref hold up a yellow card and then a red card? They've got those cards and sometimes you don't even see them coming. All right, so do you need a LinkedIn subscription that's paid? Let's see a show of hand. Who has a paid subscription here in this room? One hand, okay. Love to have seen more hands up here. Barbara, let me ask you a question. Why do you have a paid subscription?
I find that I have more access to information, more access to contact people, especially through email, and I can do some research through that tool.
Beautiful, yeah. Just stole my script. So yes, used correctly, the paid subscription can definitely take dividends. They do offer multiple tiers, but the primary power here is the two-way connection. InMails, which is what Barbara said, and that's really about the analogy that I'm going to use is if you're on social media, Facebook or Instagram, you can't send a note to somebody you don't know directly. You've got to be a friend with them to be able to do that. LinkedIn works the same way, unless you've got the premium subscription. And with a premium subscription, you can send a certain number of those emails to folks without having to be directly connected. Now, keep in mind, this isn't there for you to spam people, right? This is for you to send a targeted message. Also, it gives you much better search capabilities. You're trying to sell your service. You want to find somebody to fill a job in your organization. You use LinkedIn. You can use the search capabilities. You're going to be able to see far more people in the system. And that expansive search capability is something that comes with a premium subscription. Lead organization and management. Now, remember, I said this isn't your CRM, but you can use it with some CRM type functionality. So you can organize leads, you can build campaigns of people to reach out to, and also you can see analytics. One of my favorite analytics that we have is, the who's looked at your profile. You can see who has looked at your profile. Why would you care about somebody looking at your profile? Yes.
Might have someone, someone is seeing something in your profile that is fit what they need. It might be a job, a hiring manager, a client.
Yeah. That's what's known in business as a warm lead. Cold lead is when you're reaching out, you're opening up the phone book, and I'm going to call this person right here. I have no idea who that is. A warm lead is somebody who already knows you exist and may be receptive to your message. I've had it where people can go ahead.
Yeah, but I have always been a little bit skeptical about the paying version of LinkedIn. I've had it at one point and I didn't see much benefit.
It's not for everybody.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't get the result that I wanted. Maybe I was not being proactive.
Personally, on my end, it works because if I need to do research, if I need to understand who is the head of philanthropy somewhere, if I want to try to find a link to somebody that it's related to grants, or if I need to find the principal investigator for a particular institution, there is more likely that if I do the research, I will get it. I might not use the email, but I will get the contact, and then I will try to just first pick up the phone and make the call, or find the email because I already know who the principal is. And then if those don't work, then I will use the email. But I need the information. I need to know who they are, It's not about them contacting me for what I use it. It's more about who do I need to get to.
Yeah, so, you know, again, it's, you know, there's kind of a grab bag of different features that you get with the premium, and what you're after really is gonna dictate whether or not you get what you're looking for. If you're out there and you're building strategic partnerships, it's a ready-made directory. You can
Yeah.
find people that are there. If you're trying to sell a service, you can usually figure out who it is. And, you know, there's probably some people in this room that are looking for a job from time to time. If you're looking for a job, you can find out who a hiring manager is for the skill set
Yeah.
that you're offering.
Or if you're, for example, if you're seeking for jobs, it's not that premium is gonna get you there faster, but you get priority as to what you're able to apply.
To your point, when I did the pay premium, I did it because I was looking for a job. So I didn't get nowhere. However, when I used my free version.
Right,
I
the
was
premium
able-
version.
The free version. I was able to, at the time, to recruit 10 advisory board members for my other position at FIU.
And that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Look, you know, and that's why, I don't have this saying, you know, you have to have a paid subscription.
Mhm.
You know, everybody needs to kind of think individually, does this meet my needs? I will tell you that for me, it's a security blanket. I can always do research. I can find who's, you know, who's important, and, you know, it's a value add. And I think if it makes sense for you, by all means.
Hey, I'll give you an example. I am able to see when a foundation is posting their grant cycle on LinkedIn. And that's how I keep track of it, right? I get the notification faster on LinkedIn than on my inbox. And that is already a value added to the premium subscription. That's how I got, for example, one of our latest notifications.
I could do a whole webinar on, whole seminar on LinkedIn for job seekers too. We'll do that another day.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on. You know, you do need a strong profile, folks. Gotta have a strong LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn likes completeness, making sure that you've got the different fields and everything filled in. It's better for searches because people do what's called a Boolean search. You know what a Boolean search is, anyone?
No.
Boolean search is like when you go onto Google and you put in terms,
Mm-hmm.
you know, want to find a software engineer near me, boom. Want to find a purchasing manager, whatever. I want to find someone that's skilled in Power BI, somebody that knows how to use Microsoft Project. Boolean searches. So the searches, the more robust your profile is, the better. So a professional photo. Why does a photo matter?
It's your credibility, it's your identity.
It's your credibility. A lot of people don't even like to look at a profile or even follow through with the profile doesn't have a picture. Because they're like, well, is it really real? Does the person pay attention to what goes on LinkedIn? Is it a ghost account? So yeah, a professional photo matters. And by the way, make it look good. Yeah, it's your first impression. So don't put that picture of you, on the beach, drunk in Cabo San Lucas. Put the picture of you in a, business suit or,
Those type of pictures.
yeah. You want to see those, you can go to Facebook. Yes.
How do you feel about profiles that are private?
Private profiles can't be found. And if you are, trying to sell your business through LinkedIn, if you're trying to look for a job through LinkedIn, it's gonna be harder for people to find you. And also, sometimes this is one of the other things, a good LinkedIn profile is your credibility. People will use it as a second check. They want to see, is this person legit? And if your profile is private, you've just shut down an avenue. Good question, very good question. So, this is all in the presentation. We're gonna share this online. We'll make sure that everybody who registered will have a copy of the presentation or access to this. But a couple things, you wanna make sure that you've got a professional headline. You've got 240 characters to play with. You can do bullets separated. It's beautiful. You've got so much space to play with. This is the first thing someone's gonna see about you. So, this is mine. President, Insider Career Strategies, bullet. Certified resume writer and career coach, bullet. LinkedIn profile developer, bullet. Outplacement services, bullet. Member, PARWCC, Professional Association Resume Writers, NRWA, National Resume Writer Association, Career Thought Leaders, bullet. Contact us today, and here's my email address. 240 characters of far more information than anybody ever wanted to know about me, but there it is.
Mhm.
It's real easy. They don't have to go digging through the profile. Also, you've got your summary. This is the 2,600 characters that most people ignore, or they let AI write it. Do it yourself. Really talk about who you are. What's your business? What do you have to offer? And the call to action. What's a call to action?
It's whether call me,
Call me, email me.
email me.
Here's how we can help you. Contact us. Yeah, put the call to action in there, how people can reach you. And then, you fill out your job details. Job details are your credibility. If you are a logistics specialist or a logistics manager in the Army and you're looking to get contracts managing corporate logistics, do you think that might help? Absolutely. So having that detail in there, it's better search capability for people that are looking through the system, but it is also your credibility. Now, one of the things that you get for free, this is one of the few things that LinkedIn does not charge you for, is a corporate page. So you can actually build your own page for your business. And I like this one. I'm probably going to update this. This is one that I pulled from Ernst & Young not too long ago. I love this one because it's heavily customized. You can see the potential here. At the very top, you'll see they've got a banner, they've got their logo, and then they've got their headline for their business, building a better working world by providing trust through assurance and helping organizations grow, transform, and operate, which is a real fuzzy way of saying they're a consulting accounting company, but, Ernst & Young has a good brand. People know who they are, generally speaking. But you can see it, and you can build one of these out. It's very important for your credibility. What's going to happen is if you have a professional page, people will drill down from your profile, or they'll go the other way. They'll start at the corporate page and drill their way back to you. It shows your professionalism, and it connects back to your employees. You can have a logo for your company right next to your name if you have a company page, which is beautiful, rather than having that little gray box that's got nothing in it. So take advantage of it. It doesn't cost you. By all means, it's a wonderful thing. Fill it in, fill it all in. All right. Looking for people, looking to hire a consultant, looking for leads. I talked about this earlier. The search capabilities are wonderful. Remember I said you need a full profile? Because the people that show up at the top of the list when you do a search are the ones with full profiles. All right. So I did a search here for a software engineer, and you can really go ahead and you can filter it down. First level, second level, third level connection, how far away they are from you. You can do it by geography, how you're connected. There's so many ways that you can drill out this data. And it's great for identifying and reaching people. And with a professional subscription, you do not need to connect first. In fact, don't even bother with the connection. Just send a direct note. Now, does it mean they're necessarily going to follow up with you? No. But have a compelling reason if you reach out to them. And then we talked about the Boolean searches, and write and send a compelling message to your leads. Give people a reason to read. And by the way, just when you're sending somebody a message through LinkedIn, what am I holding?
Phone.
My phone. You don't want any message that's longer than something that'll fit on the face of this. Short and sweet. Try to think about the person you're trying to reach. And here they are. You have a service and you can provide them a service that's going to save them a bunch of time. They're busy doing the job that you could do for them. That logistics work that they're handling themselves, you could do for them. And instead of going for a 3-martini lunch at J. Alexander's, they're stuck going to McDonald's getting a quarter pounder. Nothing wrong with McDonald's. I like their quarter pounders. But it's a different experience. And if they're sitting there, they're waiting in line, and they look on their phone and there's your message, and you can solve their problem. And it's very quick and apparent that you can, you may have gotten yourself a customer. So keep in mind, it's a great way to reach people. Make sure you get to the point. Don't bury the lead. That's an old news expression. Don't tell people at the end why you're reaching out. Be very clear. I am reaching out to you because I see that you do this and I can help you with this. All right, the feed, that's the front of the page. That's the, that's where you get news about everybody that comes up there. So this is where you can keep up on the happenings with your connections and, the companies that you're following. You can build your brand reputation by putting posts. You can share your news and work. Hey, guess what? You got your PMP certification. Great news. Here it is. You can position yourself as a thought leader. Who knows what a thought leader is? Has anyone here ever heard that expression?
Yes.
I'll explain it so that we're working off the same template here, but thought leadership, it's all about being an expert in your field. You are somebody that really knows your industry, you know what you do.
Your
and
mastery.
People look to you for guidance in that. And even if they don't look to you for guidance, you can make it so they look to you for guidance. So share your thought leadership. This is put on by the FIU Big, and these folks are big on entrepreneurship and innovation. I am sure that the folks that are here put posts up on a regular basis about the newest happenings in innovation and business at that intersection. You can do the same. What I always recommend to business owners is if you're going to share news, try to share something that's slightly different than the obvious. Don't share something that's so obvious. Oh yeah, logistics is big these days. Well, that's great. Logistics is big, and here's something that I just saw this past week that made me think. Instead of going to a third-party logistics company, they found it easier to just hire their own truck and do it themselves.
Provide insights.
Right, so you can provide strategic insights. And as a thought leader, you can show, hey, I'm somebody that can really provide some additional value. Show why hiring you makes a difference. I can tell you from my own business, I've been publishing for 10 years, blogs on LinkedIn and other platforms about the job search, about LinkedIn, about the market, all these different topics. And it's done wonders because, it's all little footprints in the sand that people, when they look me up, can see. And even if they didn't think of me, they see my stuff on LinkedIn, they might reach out to me and say, hey, can you help me with this problem? I see you dealing with a situation right now, and you have the expertise. And then you can like, share, and comment on other people's posts. Someone got promoted, like and comment, congratulate them. It's a great way to say hello. And the other thing is, if somebody puts a piece of interesting news up and you share it, now what you've done is you amplify beyond their network to your own network. It works the same way. What you're doing is, if you're doing it, you're mentioning the person that you've already gone, whose post you're sharing. Now you're reaching both their network and yours with your post. So liking, share it, and of course, don't forget the people. People feel good. They like to be acknowledged. They like to be recognized. Someone comes up with a really cool post and you share it, they're probably going to appreciate that as well. Yes.
I have a question in regards to the analytics, right? Because this works similar to any other platform in terms of analytics. When I do an original post versus reposting for someone else, how do I leverage those analytics in my favor? Aside from the people that I'm captivating from the original post community.
That's a great question. So if you want to leverage if you comment on somebody else's post, not sharing it as your own, just commenting on somebody else's post, and you reply to their post, what's going to happen is it'll have reached their network of people that have seen it, and then it'll reach your network because your post, your share will go up in your connections. So you're going to have that multiplier effect from that standpoint. It's a little hard to measure. LinkedIn doesn't really give you analytics in terms of data of like how big was the chain and where did this start, all the people that reached along the way. But you can get certain things. So maybe somebody will share yours and then you'll get the data on how many people shared yours, how many saw your post. I know you didn't ask this question, but I'm going to answer this. The best thing you can do is you can give people a reason to continue sharing and looking at the post that you made. So if somebody else has something interesting, repost it, put it on your page, acknowledge the person who it belonged to, and at least get that traffic through your own page. Make sense?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Few special LinkedIn business tips for veterans. First of all, I mentioned this a little bit at the beginning, but use civilian terms in your profile and your communications. Don't go for jargon. Unless you are exclusively selling to folks that are military or ex-military, don't use that terminology. Stick with civilian terms. And this is, I know I picked on logistics quite a bit in this presentation, but logistics in the military doesn't necessarily mean a lot of the same things that means in the private sector. Logistics can often mean, okay, I have organized a troop to get them ready to go out and do a deployment. But logistics in the private sector might mean, going ahead and arranging a truck and, paying for the truck and going ahead and doing the routing. You've got to be very specific and make sure that you know what the terms are that are there. So I know it's a habit that dies hard. Really do your best to bridge what you're talking about in terms of the private civilian sector as opposed to military language. And by the way, even if your clients are military contractors, you know, you're trying to reach a Northrop Grumman or whatever, they're still using civilian terms in how they put the bids out. So just keep in mind, we want to make sure that you keep them. Yes.
What is the best way to help you make that change to your LinkedIn? If you already have language that supports veterans and military and speak towards that population, how do I change that to be more civilian terms?
All right, so I'm gonna come up with 2 different suggestions for that. Great question. The first one is, you know, do your research, talk to people in your expert, you know, in your field, really benchmark other people that have done the type of work that you've done. You know, take a look at those services. You know, unless you come up with a device that's totally new and innovative, you're probably gonna find something. But AI, here's the elephant in the room, folks. AI, you can put something into AI. You can actually ask it, can you translate this military focused document into civilian terms? And it's not necessarily guaranteed that it's going to be 100% correct, but it's going to give you a starting point. And, you know, I was actually going to talk about AI a little bit in terms of this too. You know, AI is one of those tools that I think you're going to find a lot of opportunities to work on. I'll just jump right to that point. I mean, I think, you know, you can use AI to work on building up your summary and building your LinkedIn profile and building messages to reach out to people. But this is important. Anytime you use AI, it's an emerging technology, but it's also very deeply impersonal, right? The AI is only as good as the data that's been put in there. So when you're using AI, use it to spark your inspiration, use it to double check yourself, use it as a point of reference, but always use it as a starting point, not your end.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lean into your strengths. Who's your receptive audience? Who's really going to be interested in what you're selling? You know, if you're selling tasers, you're probably going to have much better luck with police forces and security companies than with kindergartens. So just food for thought. Be an interesting kindergarten, though. And then maximize every vet resource available. There are so many resources that the government has invested in to help veterans find work, build their business, help them get resettled. Because, you know, the truth of the matter is, you've served our country, and it's important to make sure that the transition, which can be very difficult for many people, moving from the military into the private sector, to make it as smooth as possible. I've had relatives that served in the military, had a very difficult time transitioning. So take advantage of every resource they've got. Even if you're the most well-adjusted, you know what's going on, you know what you're doing, you have a clear sense of where you want to go. Still, there may be some business development resources. There may be, you know, like we're doing, the state of Florida's veterans are helping in terms of, you know, this supply this today. So thank you to them. But, you know, use every resource. And the truth of the matter is, if you don't know what you want to do, maybe they can direct you to the right people that can help you with some of those things as well. And then, of course, joining veterans groups. There are over 5,400 veterans groups on LinkedIn alone. You can meet, build community, meet folks, have discussions about people that, you know, you can ask them for guidance. Hey, I'm looking at starting a business. What's the piece of advice that you would offer? So, you know, it's a great way to make some connections and to really help build that. And then explore new audiences. Go outside your comfort zone. You know, I see a lot of gray area in the audience. Let's just be very clear. There's a lot of people that, you know, have some gray hair in the audience. I mean, you know, you're probably not fresh out of the military, so you've probably already been in the civilian world for a while. But, you know, there are some people here who look pretty young and who've probably just recently gotten out. You know, take this opportunity, look for new audiences, look to expand your horizons, meet people that have different perspectives. You know, people are going to view things in a much different way. The way decisions are being made, business decisions being made. Probably one of the biggest shocks that I'm sure a lot of people run into is in the business world, how everything is done by consensus. You know, consensus is sometimes where good ideas go to die, but other times it's where good ideas become better because people get a chance to iterate on them. Doesn't always work that way in the military. Doesn't work that way in every corporate environment either.
No.
So, expand your horizons, try to find people that have different management styles, different experiences. How can you learn from them? One of the things I love most about my job is I meet probably 10 to 15 people every week that do work that I didn't do. And it opens up my mind in different ways. It makes me think about things in different ways. I had a client that was doing sales and business development for, oh my God, what was the firm for? It was medical services. The person was doing some work in terms of medical and technical services. And sitting down with him, I learned new ways to approach and talk to clients.
Mhm.
And it wasn't rocket science, but it was just such a different way of looking at things. But I was like, I can use that. This is something I can really adopt and think about. So, different people come up with good ideas. Talking to people is a great way. If you sit in your basement by yourself, you're not going to meet people. It's LinkedIn is great, but it's an entry point. Use it to meet people. Hey, listen, I see you're here. I'm in Pompano. You're in Fort Lauderdale. Can I buy you a cup of coffee at Starbucks? Love to pick your brain on this topic. Use this opportunity. Find new audiences. Find new ways of thinking. So just some final thoughts. First of all, be thoughtful about what you post. Stay on brand. This is about your business. This isn't about your personal views of the world. All right. We're in a very divided and challenging environment right now. The last thing we need to do is to put something up there that's going to alienate half the people out there that could potentially buy your service. Not saying you shouldn't have your point of view and be who you are and be true to yourself, but the truth of the matter is we live in more of a society. So why make your job more difficult? Make your profile publicly available. Talk about that. Remember, this is a business. Don't get too personal. I see people putting on things about, hey, this is great. My daughter just got married. Well, that's good. That's nice. It's more of a Facebook type of thing. Just try to keep in mind, this is a business platform. The more that you can stay in that direction, the better. Stay away from posting or commenting on divisive content. These days, there's a lot more divisive than you would have had 5 years ago. Be strategic about building your network. Talk to different people. Go outside your normal zone. But also, there's people you've run into during your career that maybe you haven't kept in touch with. Build your network. Reach out to them on LinkedIn. Get connected. Yes.
Speaking of being strategic, there's a lot of invitations that you get because either you show up as a recommendation on somebody's feed, or they see you as part of the network or someone, or simply because they are looking to do business with someone that you have work, or why not? What do you recommend? Do you actually give them access? Do you actually just ignore them or block them if they are not your interest, or does it have a value regardless to add them to your network?
Yes, yes, and yes. So it's, you can have 30,000 connections. Most people never even scrape a tenth of that. My advice is, unless you've got a really compelling reason not to accept an invitation, to accept it. But if somebody, you accept it and then all of a sudden someone tries to sell you business funding 30 seconds after accepting, do what I do, disconnect and block. That's what happens. So, and if any of you here are trying to sell business funding, I apologize, but you've also got to be very tactical about how you respond. You've got to really make sure that you're reaching out to somebody and not just pushing something. You're engaging in that. So my advice is connect unless people give you a reason not to. And it opens up your network too. So make your email messages enticing. We talked a little bit about that. And then don't waste people's times with inappropriate contacts or spams. That is the route to getting your account locked down. So, one last piece of advice: online content lives forever. You ever heard the phrase, there's a Twitter for that? It does, lives forever. So act accordingly. You wouldn't want your mother to see it, don't post it. You wouldn't want your grandkids to see it, don't post it. If you think it could harm you in the future, don't post it. Stick with Facebook, stick with your friends. You might have the greatest joke and it's absolutely filthy, but don't tell it on LinkedIn. Keep it to the right audience, So anyway, use judgment. That's the final thought that I want to leave everyone with. So I just want to thank everybody for your time today. Really appreciate it. And my contact information is here. If anybody has any questions or would like to follow up, thank you so much. Yes, we have some questions.
Yes. My question is, if you have multiple LinkedIn platforms, one for personal, one for branding, when you're going out networking and trying to increase your community, which do you give them?
First of all, you shouldn't have two profiles. You should have one. It should be your business profile. And you can merge those profiles if you haven't. You know, it's, if you have two profiles and you're checking them both compulsively, that's one thing, but, you know, my suggestion is that you stick to one. You have another question?
By the way, you're being followed by people that used to work with me in General Mills.
I'm sure.
So my question is about the profile. Okay, I see that you have in your profile like the bullet points. What do you recommend the best? To have like bullet points or, you know, like my profile is just a sentence, a thing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, that's a really good question. So,
And I have another question.
all right, let's go ahead and let's hear the second one.
Okay, the second one, okay, like in my case, my, you know, my background is marketing. So I was fully in marketing up until 10 years ago that I started working here. You know, at FIU, you know, so now I'm kind of like, I've been in the last year, is it? Last year, yeah.
Yep.
I started like, you know, doing the marketing stuff for the program. Before I wasn't. So, you know, so my LinkedIn, I will rather have that marketing aspect, you know, because that's my background is marketing, my undergrad marketing, my master's marketing. But, you know, now I have also the, you know, the higher education, you know, aspect. So, I find like, I have found like a little bit of a challenge, you know, to combine both, but without having the disconnection of the corporate marketing. You know, so how would I do that?
All right, so let's tackle those one at a time. So the first question is the format. And you know, yes, if you folks want to take a look at my profile, you'll see it. My link is there. You know, I have mine bulleted, and bulleted is a nice way to have a profile because it's easier. People can, you know, the phrase that I use is scannability. People can quickly scan through it, they can see what they want to see. It doesn't mean it's necessarily the right, okay? It's a decision that I've made because I use my website for my LinkedIn site for marketing, and I need it to be punchy and I need it to be clear. If you are, you know, if you're not actively looking for a job, if you're not actively looking to drum up business, there's nothing wrong with a prosaic approach where you're using paragraphs and so forth. You know, but I will say that, you know, people spend, you know, I'm sure you've heard this, people spend about 10 to 15 seconds looking at a resume. It's the same thing on LinkedIn. They spend a few seconds if they're going to see something that appeals to them. So having something that's easier to bite pieces is going to really help you in terms of the traffic and the stickiness. Now, the other question is, how do you bridge different backgrounds into a single story, right? And there's not necessarily an easy answer to that. I wish there was, but you know, the advice that I would say is, what's the common thread, right? What's made you good in academia as well as in marketing? You know, in academic programs versus marketing. Well, I mean, I'm just thinking offhand here, but I mean, you know, when it comes to academic programs, you know, you're building brand equity. You know, you still got to get people to feel confidence in the programs that you're putting forward. You're marketing the value of your programs to funders. You're marketing the programs to people to attend them. So, you know, are you being true about sticking to what the value proposition? What's the unique value proposition? Like, you know, you mentioned General Mills. What's the unique value proposition for Lucky Charms, right? You know, it's a nice sweet cereal. The kids love and they find a lot of fun. It has great marshmallows. Yeah, it'll kill you. But boy, do I love those sugary cereals. But you know, it's that unique value proposition, and you know, some of the people that I've worked with that have been in branding and marketing, you know, it's not about the product. It's about being able to articulate a vision. It's about being able to do that, and you've got to think about what's that common theme. So the structure that I often tell people when you're building a profile is to think about it from the perspective of bullets of who am I? Who am I? I am a professional marketer who's had experiences working both in the private and public sectors. I have worked on, you know, brand campaigns for across the Americas. I'm just making this up. For brand campaigns across the Americas, but also for programmatics and for academics. You know, what I bring to the table is an ability to articulate a vision, put together a compelling value proposition, and to sell that through. So, you know, you got to kind of think of it from that perspective. And the other thing I would say is, this is where, you know, why there's a market for people like me is if you don't know, ask someone else. Other people, we as individuals often have a very hard time looking at ourselves in the mirror and seeing that true picture.
That's has been always my issue.
That's the value of having someone else to bounce it off of. Hey, here's what I'm thinking. What do you see?
Sometimes I think, you know, kind of like, I just do it because I know what to do but you know, when I have to talk about myself, that's what I do.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions? Yes.
I think that this is a more complex question. I have my, let's say, my venture or my consulting firm, right? And I'm well known by doing consulting in a very specific area. That is well defined. I have my value proposition well defined. But I've decided to build a community, and it's more of a social project, right? So it doesn't mean that it's not for profit, it's just that it's more socially oriented. How do I manage that in LinkedIn? Because, for example, to your point, what you were presenting, I have a corporate page and then I have my profile as well. Where do I sync in that particular social project, or do I need to open a third profile for that social community?
Is this your project?
Yes.
So what I would do is I would create a corporate page for that.
Okay.
And then just put it as an experience. And you can always add a line or two in your summary of that. If you'd like to learn more about my private venture, you know, cupcakes and wine after work, please feel free to contact me.
All right.
By the way, I totally yeah.
Very good. Yeah, I've been debating, because one thing is you're trying to build the community for something that, although it's social, it will be for profit, right? But you're known by consulting and by this profile. This is something completely different. I thought of making it, you know, a unique page, but I wasn't sure about it.
You ever read Walt Whitman?
Yep.
What is his most famous line from Leaves of Grass?
Oh my gosh, you're challenging me now
We
because
contain multitudes. We all have different sides of ourselves. We all have different aspects. Can you tell I was an English major?
oh yeah, I can tell.
Yeah, so you know, I mean, we all contain different sides of ourselves. And you know, I'm not just my work. You know, one of the things that I promoted was I was chair of a nonprofit for about 2 years, which, you know, at the same time I was running my business. I, you know, connected to that page. It wasn't mine, but I was chair of it. So yeah, I mean, we all have different aspects. We, you know, we all have different things that we do inside and outside of work. We all have different ventures. A lot of people that I know that work in the, you know, the entrepreneur space have 2, 3 different ventures, you know, especially the tech focused ones. Hey, I just came up with a great new app to do ABC, and now I'm going to put this off as a venture. I mean, there's so many different ways to do it, but you know, again, common thread. What's the common thread? What is it that you bring? Okay, well, now you've got an entrepreneurial and social aspect. So how do you weave that into the overall narrative? And by the way, these aren't easy answers, but
correct.
You know, it's something to think about holistically. So let's wrap this up so that we can give everyone a nice email to send them the presentation afterwards. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great afternoon. Thanks for having me.